It doesn't make any sense to close a school just because of the location. That school is a good school. They have very good teachers. And despite everything that went on last year, that school still have achieved what they were supposed to achieve consistently.
Jaden, and Jaden will be followed by Renetta Nuruddin.
I said that we shouldn't close our school.
That's right.
Put him in the chair.
On the board can see him.
I said that we shouldn't close our school because our school is wonderful. And I can't go to a different school because my only school is Boyd Elementary. And I've been there since kindergarten and all my teachers was wonderful. I love Boyd Elementary. Thank you.
Ms. Renetta Nuruddin, and Ms. Nuruddin will be followed by Shamika Vaughn, and Ms. Vaughn will be followed by Yvette Boulware. Ms. Nuruddin, Ms. Shamika Vaughn, Ms. Vaughn will be followed by Yvette Boulware. Is Ms. Vaughn here? Ms. Boulware, you can take a seat. And Ms. Boulware will be followed by Avriel Brown.
Hello, my name is Shamika Vaughn. I have a child that attends Boyd Elementary. Since he has been at Boyd Elementary, he has done great. Before he got there, he had problems, but when he got there, he did a whole 360. They have wonderful teachers and other staff. Many activities that my child attends. Saturday school, after school program, plus he in walking distance. So I'm just saying I would love for Boyd Elementary to remain open.
Ms. Boo.
This is what y'all do.
My name is Dion Foley, and I'm from Boyd Elementary School. I love my school to stay open, and I love my teacher very much. And my class are scholars. We all will pass our CRT test for my teacher. I love my teacher. I'm still my teacher. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Boulware. And Ms. Boulware will be followed by Ms. Brown.
The topic I was going to speak on has already been expressed several times, but I'd like to know if I could relinquish and give my time to Mabel Thomas.
Ms. Thomas didn't sign in, so.
So we know that.
She's a fully elected representative.
Giving her time to her.
Out of respect for Ms. Thompson, we'll give her the time.
Please, Ms. Thomas.
We don't have full elected officials speak. That's new.
First, giving honor to God as a leader of my life. It's a blessing to be here with you. I would like to acknowledge the work of the board and the work of our superintendent that's in place. I am a product of English Avenue, Vine City area, and District 2. And what I wanted to say is I know the decisions that you're making are very difficult. And really, when you look at it, one would say that the north side always gets the most and the south side gets the least. Well, we have a chance to change that around. we actually have a chance to have a breakthrough as it relates to how we govern and how we deal with education.
Let it be you.
So what I'm saying is that all schools and all children deserve good schools.
Right.
And so what we're saying is that, yes, there are some schools in our areas that have low population. But even though they have low population, it does not mean that they should not learn. We have the opportunity to learn, have the opportunity to have the technology, to have the support services in place. And so what we're saying is, whether or not the class size is large, we believe in smaller class size.
Right.
That's exactly what we have in some of the schools that we have in our area. Now, what I want to do is to say thank you, because I do see that Bethune Elementary School is not now on the chopping block. But also you do have Herndon, and many kids that go to English Avenue also go to Herndon. And what I do know about it, what happens when a school closes in a community. We know what happened when English Avenue closed in our community. It was the beginning of the destabilization of our community.
Right.
And it's continued to be a part of the destabilization of our community.
Right.
So what we don't want to do, because Herndon is so close to Bethune in terms of the neighborhood residents, in terms of where they live, we believe that closing Herndon will also create a situation where you have a void in the community and the kids will not be able to really come behind all the things that's negatively that's put on them in terms of some of the crime issues, some of the health issues. Everything's on top of these kids in District 2. Now, when it comes to Kennedy, I'm glad somebody said something about Kennedy, because we don't want the record to reflect that Kennedy has never been a great school. Kennedy Middle School has been a great school. I was the first graduating class of Kennedy Middle School. I was there when we did make the high grades and the high scores. And I'm here to say, that I don't think I did too bad coming out of Kennedy. All right, and then also I want to say that your board member, Byron Amos, Honorable Byron Amos, I met him at John F. Kennedy. I was a speaker at the honors program where he was being honored as a young person. And he came up to me after I spoke at that school and said to me, I want to do some of the things that you're doing. I want to help my community too. So now we have Byron Amos also from John F. Kennedy, who's also excelled and done well. So I don't know if you really reflect that Kennedy has to be closed. Kennedy can give them the type of concern, care, technology, support, and working with more parents' involvement. I believe that Kennedy Middle School can make a difference and can be a strong school. Don't give up on Kennedy, because we have not given up on it as well. Thank you, and power to the people.
Good schools everywhere.
ABL Brown, Ms. Brown, and Johnson. And Mr. Johnson will be our last speaker for this evening.
Give him 60.
Good evening. I've heard some really interesting things this evening, one of which has to do with Latin Academy. Latin Academy, a school that you authorized, comes out of an organization whose backers are financiers involved in schools for investment purposes. That's what you have allowed. Allow me to remind you of something that some of you have said. One of you once said, with respect to Superintendent Beverly Hall, the superintendent is meeting the expectations of the board that hired her. We are just beginning to see the fruits of her labor. Now that's an understatement. Another one of you said, in general, I think Dr. Hall has done an excellent job with APS. I believe that Dr. Hall is good for Atlanta, and the school board should do what it can to keep her as superintendent of the district. Then another one of you said, Dr. Hall is doing an admirable job for APS. When you consider how much progress has been made in student achievement over the past few years, it's impossible not to take notice. Then someone else said, who is not among you, said, since her arrival, Hall's job and educational reforms have given Atlanta a superintendency that is too autocratic, too adverse to inquiry and learning, too dependent on reform models, too concerned with public relations instead of public engagement, too quick to blame and punish over test scores and such, too inclined to give excuses to avoid responsibility, and to, in effect, have the school board work for the superintendent and, of course, Metro Chamber of Atlanta.
Lord have mercy.
I wonder what you are. What have you learned? You have an opportunity to learn how to improve Atlanta Public School. And frankly, I don't think you're taking it. Thank you.
That concludes the comments for this evening, Mr. Chair.
Great, thank you, Dr. Grant. We will go back into our committee of the whole meeting to finish our business there. We had an executive session. I believe, Ms. Pitts, that everything in executive session will be addressed at our legislative meeting. Is that correct?
Yes, I have several matters for legislative meeting.
Mr. Davis, I wanted to go over questions on the resolutions that will be coming forth to the legislative meeting prior to concluding our committee of the whole meeting. Bring item 6.01.
Item 6.01, report number 11/12-0122, a resolution of the Atlanta Board of Education authorizing the formation of the Atlanta Independent School System Foundation Fund, Inc. Do you?
Yeah, I think the board members have some questions generally about the purpose of the foundation.
Again, what we're looking to do is set up a 501c3 organization structure in order to receive funds, contributions. We do not yet have, we really want to bring it forward at this time to get a sense of just move forward and bring it back. It will have to have a purpose, which we will have to bring to you. We'll have to have board governance issues. We're not asking for approval of that now. We just want to form it, and we'll bring it back to you for approval. But again, the purpose is to just so that we can accept money.
So when you form it, it'll come back to us for approval,
Yes.
board members?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Because I mean, I don't have any good idea on structure yet. I just want, it's really more of a, for your information, we'd really like to do this and get your support to move forward to set up a foundation to receive money.
So are you asking us to authorize the formation of this foundation, or to authorize your looking at setting up the foundation? Because there's nothing here to speak to the governance.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not asking you to just approve the foundation and go away and you never see it again. It's my intent to set a foundation up, and there may be options for governance, options for purposing. I just want to get started on the work. But again, if we want to modify this, given your concerns, to say subject to board review, final board review and approval, I'm perfectly happy with that. And I want to expend some resources doing legal research, et cetera, to set this up, and I want you to know about it. That's, I mean, this is, we're not at any sort of risk stage here yet.
No, I understand that, and I trust your judgment on it. I think from a board perspective, it says authorizing the formation, not exploring, but authorizing. So I feel a lot more comfortable with the verbiage.
Oh, I have absolutely no problem with that. Ms. Hartman.
Kind of some questions have already been asked. We're just, even though, despite what it says in the resolution, in terms of, we're just.
Yeah, I just want to start the process of setting up a foundation so that we can make money. someone wants to give it to us, and again, we'll be back and have offline discussions about what sort of structure you would like, what sort of board governance you would like on the foundation, and again, and what sort of purpose on it. And, you know, I didn't want to bring you something with a ribbon around it for you then to ask how much money did you spend putting all this together that we don't know about. And all I'm saying is that I believe we should have some sort of foundation that will allow us to accept monies that people want to donate to the school system.
Did you want to address, and this may not be the forum, but we don't have another forum, to address where we are with the current foundation that we have that was set up to do the same thing?
Yeah, I want to differentiate this. This is not a replacement for the AEF. Again, this was in the works before the AEF decided to go out of business. But I also think, just from a transparency perspective, again, we need to come back and talk about purpose and governance, that you had a foundation outside of this entity, you know, contributing or doing things on behalf of the school system, where you didn't have any governance, or one or two board members could go to that. But, you know, I see this in many ways as a higher level of governance for this board, in terms of if people want to give us money, the board would have a sense and a say in what you're going to use it for. And so, to that extent, but you know, I can't stop others outside either from setting up foundations, and a lot of people, you know, have foundations that do work for this system. But you know, I thought you probably should have your own foundation. But again, if people are comfortable with the exploration of it, then I don't really need a resolution. Like, we can just go forward with planning and bring something back to you for approval when we're done. Unless there's some great sense that we should not have a foundation, I'm very comfortable with no resolution at this point.
I just have a quick question. Again, I know I've had some conversation, but can you somewhat elaborate as to why we need a separate entity, not like, you know, a separate entity, and why, you know, why foundation would be precluded to write checks directly to the school district?
Well, a lot of people have restrictions on what they can contribute to. Like, for instance, it must be a 501c3 entity, or we will not contribute to it. The school system itself is not a 501c3 entity under the tax code, and therefore, again, those foundations and others that have restrictions cannot give to us. For example, student scholarships. Right now, you know, I question whether someone can give you money for student scholarships and be assured that that was a deductible contribution under the law. You probably could get there, but if it were a 501c3 receiving organization, and if we decide one of the purposes was to fund student scholarships, then it would be a very easy thing for them, because we could say we have a 501c3, you can make a contribution here, just as you can to any other charity.
Call for questions. With that commentary, does anyone on the board have an objection to me giving the direction to the superintendent to develop a foundation program process for our approval as opposed to the resolution form? We need a motion, but okay.
Thank you.
Is there any old business to discuss? Any new business to discuss? Any question on information reports we have in your program? With no other business, then I will move a motion to adjourn the committee of the whole meeting. I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Just, do we have anything to report on from executive session?
Before we all get up or don't get up, Dr. Brent, how much time do we need before we start the legislative meeting? The pleasure of the board. One more.
Apology, please. Put in being 45 minutes late. Come on, people just keep waiting for them to start. At least they could do is say we're going to start together. Yeah.
This time I'd like to call to order the Atlanta Board of Education legislative meeting for March the 5th, 2012. Dr. Graham, please call the roll.